Anyway, let's talk about DBD. Let's talk about DBD real quick. Anime chapters in DBD. People fucking hate them for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why. I feel like the Attack on Titan collab was pretty cool. The potential Tokyo Ghoul chapter is pretty damn cool. Like, the sound of it's pretty cool. But there's been like a lot of blowback, right? There's been a lot of blowback. I'm about to piss a lot of people off because this video is all about 2 chapters that I think would be fucking lit for Dead by Daylight, and they're both anime. I think they would work really well. I think they would be super cool. So the first one, we're just going to go ahead and jump right into it, right? Berserk. Absolutely. We've been sitting here talking about Berserk and Mortal Kombat for the past little bit. I think Berserk also fits really, really well into Dead by Daylight. At least when it comes to a killer, right? Because there's a few different things that you can do with a Berserk killer. You can either go the more fundamental route and have someone like Zod, or one of the many apostles that Guts fights near the beginning of the story. Because I haven't finished Berserk. I've watched the anime, the 3 movies that they turned into an anime, and I'm on the 2nd deluxe volume. So I'm not that far in, right? I don't know a whole lot. But like, just in what I've seen, what I've eaten of the show, of the manga, of the movies so far, they already have like a lot of cool apostles that they could do. The main one that I think of is Zod, that obviously, right? Or they could go in the route of doing one of the God Hand, one of the 5, which would more than likely end up being Femto, or the girl, the demon angel girl. I don't remember her name. All I know is in the anime, she manifests full of purely based on like troll guts and looks super fucking cool, and that would be a sick skin in Dead by Daylight. Be a little bit more brutal. Or when it comes to the killer, there's also a third option. From what I've seen, it only happens for a second, but the implications behind it lead me to believe that it could work pretty well in Dead by Daylight. So spoilers for Berserk if you're not terribly far in, right? Spoilers for Berserk. There's a point where Guts initially gets the Berserker armor and uses it, and it's been told to him like, hey, the more you use this armor, the more you will lose your humanity and will go nuts. And also, like, when you fully indulge the armor and go full Berserker, like, you don't give a fuck who's friend or foe, you're going after everybody. And that actually happens for a split second in the anime that I've seen. That happens for a split second, but the implications behind that of he would actually go after his comrades or good people, civilians, peasants, whatever. I think you could actually have Guts in the Berserker armor going Berserk as the killer in Dead by Daylight. I think you could do that. Or I would argue you could at least make him a skin for Oni. Has anyone thought of that? That would be fucking sick, right? When it comes to the Survivor, it's a little bit more difficult because you can't have Guts on that end. Guts as a Survivor absolutely would not work in any way, shape, or form because that motherfucker is not running around doing generators avoiding a killer. He will be up in that killer's face, slapping them, right? Biting them, poking them, pinching them, whatever he can do to inflict pain upon this person is what Guts will be doing. So you can't have Guts as a Survivor, dude. It just wouldn't work. But I do think you could have someone like Farnese or someone like Casca, potentially. Casca works in a weird way. It's really hard to do Casca because Casca's the same way as Guts for the most part. If she has her memories, right? If she's not completely PTSD ridden, full-on dissociated, not knowing who the fuck she is. And at that point, I don't think Casca would work if she wasn't like that. You know? So, it's one of those things where, like, you're gonna have to delve into some pretty hardcore topics to have Casca as a Survivor. Not necessarily having to spell them out, but people are going to wonder why this character is like this, and then they're just going to get traumatized. So it's a little difficult. So I think the safe way to do it would be to have one of the apostles or Guts himself going Berserk as the killer, and then maybe just doing a Survivor like Farnese. No, it's not Casca. It's not one of the most iconic characters, but at the same time, I don't know if they would or would want to go down the route of having someone that trauma-filled. Yeah, so it's one of those things. Although, you know, I'll still stand true and say that Berserk would be a fucking sick dude. A sick chapter for Dead by Daylight. What about Gears of War collaboration for Dead by Daylight having General Rom as the killer and Marcus Phoenix as the survivor? I think that kind of goes in with what I'm saying about Berserk. I don't think Marcus would work as a survivor. I don't think you could do Marcus as a survivor because the way that character has been written and designed, that motherfucker will headbutt you. He'll do a decisive strike, dude. This motherfucker has a perk called Headbutt that's just on, it has no cooldown, and there's no stopping it. When it comes to Berserk, and even that, like a Gears of War collaboration, it might have to be kind of like half chapters, right? Paragraphs, like they did with Leatherface. Texas Chainsaw Massacre didn't really make sense to have a paragraph unless they just couldn't get whatever they needed for it, because there were plenty of survivors they could do. But like in a situation like this where you just couldn't have an iconic survivor, I still think Farnese is kind of iconic, right? They could just definitely do like paragraphs and it would work just as well. But the next potential chapter I want to talk about when it comes to DBD, anime. Somebody already said it in chat, and it's Death Note. I think Death Note would go fucking hard in Dead by Daylight. It's another weird one, right? It's another chapter where it's like, how do we do the killer? How do we do the killer? Because you could absolutely try to figure out a way to do light. We've talked about wanting kind of like a survivor killer for a very long time. Like, how would it work? How would they do it? This would probably be like the chapter for it, or the thing. How do they have Light Yagami as the killer in the game and not automatically have you know who the killer is because you're Light Yagami? They could forego having Light specifically as the killer and just have the Death Note, right? Like, there's 5 survivors on the screen in the lobby menu. One of them has the Death Note. You don't know who. Kind of doesn't work when it comes to Survive with Friends. So we pivot into the next way they could do it. Spoilers for the Death Note anime and manga. I'll give you a second. Big spoilers. There is a point in the anime where to save a specific character's life, a Shinigami, which are the holders of the Death Note and the purveyors of the Death Note, to save a specific character's life, a Shinigami goes off the rails and kills 2 characters. Now, obviously, that, as far as the lore of the show goes, the lore of the manga and anime goes, that kills the Shinigami. But what if that Shinigami isn't doing it to save another character because they care about it? It's just doing it to do it, dude, which I don't think is against the rules in that realm. So they could absolutely do that and have a Shinigami as the killer. Maybe we could or couldn't get Ryuk or Rim. I don't know how that would work. I don't know if that would even make sense, but we could definitely get a Death Note Shinigami. And they could probably just say fuck it and do Ryuk. Unspecified character will be missed. Yes. I'm actually in the anime, just like, I'm on episode 31. I haven't finished the show yet, dude. I haven't finished the show yet, so. I actually didn't really care for that unspecified character until that happened. And then I was like, damn, I missed this character. I didn't realize how much I liked this character until that character's gone. I was like, fuck. But yeah, anyway. And the survivor, obviously, like, we have so many characters that we could pick from, so many different skins. You could have Light himself if you didn't have Light as the killer in some way, shape, or form. You could have Light himself as a survivor because there were multiple points in the show where that would actually work. You could have his dad, can't remember, Detective Yagami, whatever, as the survivor. But obviously, the most popular choice, I think, for me, my wife, the chat, Jim Bob down the street, would be L, right? L would be a fantastic survivor. It would be super cool to have him in the game. Is it a little bit out of character? Would it be a little bit goofy to see that barefoot motherfucker running across, auto having wreckers? Yeah, maybe a little bit. Would it still be super fucking dope? And could he have the potential to have some dope ass perks? Absolutely. I think anime and Dead by Daylight is a good thing. I think it's a good thing, though. I think anime and DBD is a good thing. I think it opens up the potential for so many more licensed chapters to come to Dead by Daylight, and we get rid of that fear of, oh man, they're running out of like horror characters, dude. When you delve into the realm of horror anime, they're not running out of characters. They got Death Note and Berserk right here. They have so many other ones that they could do that I haven't personally watched, but I've seen other people talk about, and I've looked into a little bit. Like, I didn't even think of Tokyo Ghoul when I was originally thinking of like anime chapters, and then I started watching it, and I was like, yeah, this works. This is really cool. This works really well. So yeah, those are the 2 anime chapters off the top of my head that I think would be super cool for Dead by Daylight. I'm definitely down for more anime chapters in Dead by Daylight. I'm open to people like leaving comments and like letting me know what other animes would fit, so like I can go watch them and potentially give my opinion on that. Yeah, anime in Dead by Daylight is a good thing, dudes.